My name is Sarah Farley. I'm the co-founder of the Global Knowledge Initiative, and what's happening here today is the final experience in what has been a year of activities as a social innovation lab. And so what happened here today is called Collaboration Colloquium, and essentially what it is, it draws together potential collaborators who might have some willingness to participate in bringing forward very specific kinds of innovations.
She's trying to see how to raise money. So if we can have the bubble with Wanjiko's hand.
So that's the reason why she seeks for information, innovation.
My name is Amira Bliss. I'm the Senior Program Associate at the Rockefeller Foundation, and today was the final day of the Collaboration Colloquium, an event hosted by the Global Knowledge Initiative, who convened an innovation lab to really help us understand what are innovative solutions and strategies to address the problems of post-harvest loss in Africa.
What do you think are the most important elements for storytelling?
Now you have to come up with a story about now.
The Rockefeller Foundation is really interested in discovering innovative solutions to complex challenges. We feel that yesterday's solutions were for yesterday's problems, and that tomorrow's challenges are going to be increasingly complex. And so we looked for partners such as the Global Knowledge Initiative to help us understand what are new ways, new strategies to address problems such as post-harvest loss that are faced here in Africa.
Improved seeds or fertilizer so that she can increase her productivity, working in the rural areas in agriculture.
First, we sort of set the frame. What is post-harvest loss? Well, we've learned a lot about the challenge over the course of this year, so we took all of the analysis and the perspective that we'd gathered and we boiled it down to a very, very short presentation supported by some background information.
There aren't many people looking at new ways of problem solving in the way that the Global Knowledge Initiative has showed us. So we are very excited to bring in this innovation lab concept to this pressing problem of post-harvest loss. There aren't a lot of groups internationally working on complex social problems that are faced here in Africa. And so we're really thrilled to partner with the Global Knowledge Initiative to look at this challenge in a new way.
Ultimately, our ideal future is every stakeholder working together.
To strengthen this pipeline, so at the end we are getting very little from here.
Okay, awesome. Sounds great.
We took these 5 stories of inspiration and we used them to bring the challenge of post-harvest loss into the room. In the next session, what we did, we invited people to take specific target challenges, one on distribution channels and one on sourcing mechanisms, both as measures to mitigate post-harvest loss. And we asked them to rip those challenges apart and put themselves in a map, a challenge map.
Products coming from different directions.
Those reports looks like they're feeding into the government.
Local entrepreneurs to set up cold storage.
We then had everyone vote. So looking at all these, they came up with 60 dimensions of the challenge. What is the piece that you want to tackle through innovation and through a network at this point in the process? So they chose 6 great prompts to move forward as a team. So what happened after that was we created these 6 teams. Everyone got to be in a team that really magnified their ability to innovate, contribute to a network, and build off their work.
One thing that FIDA really needs is to sell her mangoes over a longer period of time.
FIDA even now is able to change it to build a more permanent house.
Or is there an intermediary in between?
Once in their teams, what they were asked to do was essentially come up with what are the key innovations you want to bring to bear to solve this challenge? What needs would they fulfill? Next, we broke them into little pairs inside of their teams, and they got to draw out a story of how this innovation would move from startup to demonstration to scale.
Interest of the industry or of the buyer of the process, as well as increase of area and the production.
They built something called an innovation diffusion curve. We then took all of those 24 innovation diffusion curves and we brought them into integrated innovation landscape. So what's that? That's basically like a place where you can look at a number of innovations and see what's common about them. What do they share in terms of needs? What do they share in terms of resources or partners that they have? So by building that integrated innovation landscape, the teams were able to see how their innovations connected to the single challenge that each team worked on. And so this was happening at 6 separate tables. So by the time they got through that, they had a really crisp, clear idea of how 4 innovations would support their challenge.
They can also sort these mangoes and sell it to other markets.
They've chosen somebody as sort of a lead age farmer.
All of those teams broke up into pairs and they went out on the hunt in the room, and it got really high energy, super dynamic, and they started moving around looking for pairs that might have some resources or some actors that would bring their idea to life. People found new resources that they need for their innovations right there in the room, and that was exactly what we hoped would happen. So once people brought their resources back to their team, they then sort of sorted through them and asked themselves, okay, what does this mean for our innovation? How do we now take this innovation, bind it together with these new resources, and then, very importantly, how do we personalize it? So the last couple parts of this journey were about translating this integrated innovation initiative into a story. Because we can talk about innovation all day, but until it transforms the lives of real people with real challenges, it doesn't matter.
What is different about your idea? Agree to it and then have action plans afterwards. So a challenge to that is what sorts of things?
It's been really incredible over these past couple of days to think about how different this convening has been from most convenings that I typically go to. You really saw that people were making themselves uncomfortable and thinking about what is possible, what is potentially going to be able to happen, rather than just what are we used to seeing in the field. And so what we saw today was a lot of really creative stories about a potential future, both short-term and long-term, about a desired impact for smallholder farmers that we had never before been seen.
In some ways, a shared processing facility run by a company is just a processing facility, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, maybe we need more of them. I don't really.
The last part of the day was about building stories using a technique called storyboarding, where we see how a story emerges using visualization techniques, looking at sequence. We did a storyteller's coaching session. The 6 teams offered up their stories, and we did evaluations in terms of the innovation being viable, feasible, desirable, innovative, and in terms of how resources individuals had could be offered to that story to make it come to life. And so with all of that, the experience was rich and integrated and transformative, and we're just so excited.
We know that typical research projects or typical convenings aren't going to help us learn in new ways. And so we're really eager to see if this concept of social innovation labs could help us arrive at unique solutions to complex social problems.
What they're expected to achieve is to look through all of the innovations possible on post-harvest loss and come down to very clear sets of innovations that snap together, that can be integrated, and run them through the filter of how do they transform the life of a single hero and many heroes at scale.
We want to see our Wanjiku, whose life is transformed.
She goes around and she starts collecting orders from all the street stalls.
Sikuyo has a bright future.
Government can subsidize this technology in the first few years.
Groups were composed of a really exciting mix of individuals from public sector, private sector companies like Coke and Nestle, organizations like the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, or implementers like TechnoServe and Agra. So we also had producer organizations representing farmers, especially farmers from perishables across East Africa. We also had researchers. We had a researcher there from Malaysia who's an expert in gum Arabic coding. So it was a fantastic collection that really represents the key stakeholders that need to take action on the challenge. Over the course of this work, we looked at over 590 opportunities and bottlenecks to come to this point in time. So our task is actually, we're almost at the finish line, because the result of what these teams delivered really does tell a story of how these innovations can be integrated in a way that delivers impact. So what happens next is we'll package up these stories and we'll give them to the Rockefeller Foundation to inspire and support their strategy and decision making.
We're taking all of the information that we've gotten from a number of our partners, from stakeholders on the ground, and really thinking not just what are the solutions that we're going to carry forward, but how. And with all of the tremendous materials that we've gotten from the Global Knowledge Initiative, from the very beginning when we were doing challenge mappings, all the way to the after action report that we're going to get from today's collaboration colloquium, we're going to put all this together and really understand the how of how these solutions are going to manifest themselves in the world, how we can achieve this impact on smallholder farmers across Africa.